Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the EasyPower Tuesday Refresher Series. My name is Jim Chastain. I'm an apps engineer here with EasyPower, and wanted to make sure that you had exposure to the updates, the feature enhancements that we've brought into the system. And so that's what we're going to cover today. And as we're doing that, I'd like to throw in a couple words about the webinars that we do on an ongoing basis for those of you that haven't attended some of these. Each month, with the exception of December, we do a monthly ArcFlash workshop, which is a 4-hour live session, and it includes hands-on participation and guidance through an ArcFlash study, and it includes a 2-week trial version of the tools. Very useful for folks that are just becoming acquainted with the EasyPower tools. Likewise, each quarter we do ArcFlash the Easy Way. It's a 4-part series, 1-hour presentation. Same material as in the workshop, and it's recorded so you can review the sessions at your own pace after the fact. Then during the year on alternate weeks, Tuesday we do the Refresher series, and on Thursday we do a technical presentation either on the tools or on guest topics that we focus on safety related matters and hardware manufacturers and generally information that's applicable to the market that we serve. And these are usually a 30-minute session on Tuesday. We try to keep it to 1 hour, including a Q&A session on Thursday. So by all means, would encourage you to make a point of joining us for those if you have time. Today's agenda is, I say, going to be focused on enhancements for the release we call 10.5. And before we get there, I wanted to run a couple of poll questions. And this has very little to do with the tools or the topic. It has more to do with how best to communicate with you. So the first question, how often do you check EasyPower webpage for information? I would appreciate your feedback. It won't hurt my feelings, whatever you say, whatever you respond. And the main thing is just to garner some information from real live tool users. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's strictly what your situation allows. And do appreciate your attendance and your feedback. And you'll notice as we get further into this, one of the things that I emphasize is that very frequently we get suggestions both for topics for the webinars and for feature enhancements of the tools from the users in the audience. So I encourage you on both levels to submit suggestions, both to improve the webinars and to improve the tools. So let's close this and share the results. Looks like we have a pretty broad distribution of fans, which I appreciate. And the second question is, which do you consider the most useful way to receive information about EasyPower? And this one kind of dates me because I had to ask for help on what other channels make sense. And because social media is not one of my top drawer go-tos. So I suspect that's primarily me, but it's out there. Again, feedback is useful, and the best way and the most innocuous way to provide information that you need is what we're shooting for. And there again, there's not a nice right or wrong answer. Okay, looks like we have a quorum on this one. So here's how people have responded here. And I'm a little surprised there's not more emphasis on social media, but that may or may not mean anything. And then the last, we sent out a notice on the updates for EasyPower 10.5, and there was a video clip attached, and I'm just curious how many people had a chance to view the video and if it helped or if it didn't get to you. Either way, it's good to know from my point of view. And so we're about halfway to a quorum. Appreciate the feedback, and you're joining us today, and hopefully you'll get something from the presentation. Okay, it looks like we have a quorum. Here's how folks have weighed in on this. Excellent. Thank you much. Okay, as I mentioned, we're going to be reviewing the features that were included in 10.5, and one of the constraints that we work with is we make all the previous versions of the tool compatible, such that in 10.5 we can open up files that were made in 10.3 or 10.4 or older, but you can't use 10.3 to open 10.5, which you would expect. So I'm approaching this a little bit like a Houdini, and I realize I date myself with that reference, but I'm basically, for those of you that don't know, Houdini was a guy back in the early 20th century that did these death-defying tricks or stunts without a safety net. So I'm going to jump into this without a safety net. I'm going to look at a file that I built with EasyPower 10.3, and we're going to look at the results of looking at these features that are available in 10.5 on that file. So it's kind of the best way to verify that we got what we needed, and there's compatibility with older versions. Okay, so with all that said, I'm going to open a one line, and now you can see here that I have EasyPower 10.3 on my system, and I save this one line under samples. I called it Arc Smart Design. Basically, I just took the Smart Design example and sized everything. So now the tool tells me I'm not going to be able to save it. So the first thing you do, if you want to go through this exercise, is save the older file with a name that not disturb it in case something does go wrong with the conversion, because you won't be able to go back and open up the resulting file with 10.3 or the older EasyPower. Okay, so the first improvement is the inclusion of extra length or extra letters in the nomenclature for each of the elements. And now it includes a 30 character length. So I'm going to open this panel data dialog box, and we're going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27, 28, 29, 30. There it is. And I'm going to put one of my loads at the same thing. So there's some clever stuff going on here, and I wanted to kind of prove to myself that it exists. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Let's go ahead and count up to 30 with these characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 28, 29, 30. Okay. That says, okay, I've got one of my loads isn't squared away with as far as the number of the panels. First of all, you can see that my name is out there. There's my 30 characters. And then if I go in, okay, so that proves that at least in panels, I can put in a 30 character name. Now, the clever thing that I was impressed by is if I now want to put the schedule on my one line, whether it's in a drawing or a one line, the schedule now accommodates that 30 character length. It's like, how cool. So both the name of my panel and the name of the load can include up to 30 characters. Now I'll go you one better. If I wanted to utilize a template that I had built to include arc flash data, I can go to Properties, go to that special template. Now again, this is something that we've made available on previous webinars, but you're more than welcome to ask for it again. And so it says, okay, we're going to change everything. Are you sure? Yep, I'm sure. And now we've got our symmetrical, our short circuit current for equipment duty, and our arc flash, our extra name. If we go into short circuit, fault the buses, go into advanced, fault and store the short circuit current, and then so you see it show up there, and then fault and store the arc flash results. And so we've got the arc flash boundary, working distance, and instant energy. So not only have we accommodated the 30-character name, but we've included it in a retrofit for all the panels that that I may be using. So I'm super impressed. Okay, so from here, the next feature enhancement is we have a new default arc flash label. So again, I've gone into arc flash, short circuit, look at my spreadsheet, look at the label editor, and included as the default template is a suggestion now from what's working its way through the IEEE community, is less clutter and more ability to read the information at a quick glance. And so we see very clearly delineated the arc flash hazard and the shock hazard, and at the same time I could go from, so this is the default with the clutter, with the die cut. If I can go without, oops, here's my defaults. So with the warning, with the header, without the header, and then 6x8 templates as well. All right, so that looks pretty cool. Now again, yeah, for those of you that want to stay in tune with previous templates, that's also available, and you have the same capabilities as far as editing. So any of these labels can be customized as you see fit. Okay, so that's the new default label that seems to be making the rounds. So we get out of here and go back to our database edit. One of the suggestions that's been made is, let's go ahead and take all of our data back with it, is to be able to set up the options for the analysis modules before we actually have completed the one-line diagram. And so in the old days, it would be, you'd have to go to short circuit focus and set up short circuit. You have to go to coordination and set up coordination, and then keep it all in mind as you were drawing the one line. Now, under my list of tools, I can go to options, analysis options, and from here, set up my preference for short circuit analysis. Here I'd be setting my threshold level. I'd be setting up the reports that I'd want to see, equipment duty, medium format, the information on my one-line display. Normally I like to show remote voltage and current, and then the same setup for arc flash. We probably want to exclude the main and potentially use the 2-second rule. Now all that can be set up and saved for the project, or we can save these default values current for every project that I open, or we can reset the current options to factory settings and start from the beginning. So all that's being done before I go into any of the analytical modules and without worrying about having complete data on my one line. So that's a real big boon to productivity. I thought that is pretty cool. All right, so that's moving right along. Yeah, and then there's a repeat on the default options. So again, in short circuit, we can go in and restore or call up previous settings and save current settings as default. I mean, so it's actually a huge win as far as productivity, not having to wait until you got your one-line diagram totally scrubbed. I like that. Okay, so the next one is ability to auto-calculate impedances and ratings and values on cables. Another nice little feature. If I open up a cable, I'm in database edit. The tool used to have a calculate button, and it would accommodate any change in my system. And as I made changes, the calculations needed to be updated. Now the tool has an auto calculate that as I make changes, it would automatically update the ampacity and the impedance. And that's done without me having to worry about it clicking an extra button. That's nice. Now, one of the things that comes up a lot is, okay, how about this file that I have set before and I want to make a change? Does it automatically auto-calculate? If I open up this cable and I change the size and then I click off of it, it doesn't have auto-calculate because it was built with a calculate button in the original database edit. So I'd have to auto-calculate now to take advantage of this in this version. Well, the question is, can I do that on all the system at one time? The answer is yes. If I go into, let's go back to home. If I go into select or find and query a, let's say, cables, and busways, because it's both affected, then I can select these both as a text report, and it'll show me, okay, these are the elements that are affected by this particular find, or I can just locate them on my one-line diagram from the same find selection, or actually a query, with the select the item itself. And so I can see all my cables and my busway highlighted. And now if I go into my options, change. If I go into change on my home tab, auto calculate options, this lets me set auto calculate for everything that's selected, or clear everything, or clear what I have selected. So let's go ahead and set everything. Now I can see when I go into this box, it's been set, and as I make changes, it will automatically update. So that's, again, the big boon as far as productivity working on existing files. Let me check on questions just because I like to keep track of what's going on. Box size, I'd have to get any voltage drop functions calculations. Good questions, Chuck. I'd have to get back to you. Let me work on my list first, and then we'll get to that. Okay, so that applies both to cables and busways. So you have a busway up here. You can see it's auto-calculated, and we set it up to auto-calculate with that same control. Printing multiple TCCs. For those of you that have done coordination, we have the ability to print the TCCs, but the way it was set up is that we would print just one at a time, and you'd have to engage the printer each time. Now I can print them all at the same time and print it, or have it reside in the same file, or have them come out at the same time. So I'm going to use a PDF printer and print everything to one file. Let's go ahead and print both frames, and then OK. I'm going to put this into let's put this into my one line. No, I wanted a smart arc so I could find it. So now it's printing that. Let's go find this in my file folder. This is a real nice feature, and if you do this a lot, it ends up saving a lot of time. And again, you want to just make sure you keep track of where you're putting this stuff. But here's the PDF file that I just created. As I open it up, I have everything in one file, and it looks very nice. Applause, applause. I like that one a lot. And so that makes printing out TCCs relatively straightforward. Okay, there's nice changes to the find. So I'm going to go back to database edit. Let's go ahead and save the changes we've done so far. For those of you that use find, this I think will improve your capabilities. Those of you that don't, I think you need to pay attention, because this is an excellent way to navigate on large systems. So find now, I can make a search selection with any alphanumeric that the element starts with, and right now I'm searching all equipment. Starts with, contains, ends with, or matches whatever I put in the find box. Great way to locate stuff that I haven't properly named or I'm inheriting from someone else. That's a great time saver. I can see that winning a lot of hearts. Now here's my favorite. Okay, so that was one of the things that has buffaloed me forever is the difficulty in moving elements around on the one line. The way it was is you move the bottom and then you have to move the top. What I'm going to do is pick out this last guy on the list, and I'm going to hold down Control, make sure I get the breaker. I want to move it down to this other end. So if I just get my crosshairs, I can move that sucker around any place I want and it stays together. Applause, please. This one I like a lot. Okay, so that's moving equipment down the bus. Improved word wrap. For those of you that don't use annotations, you should, and pay attention, because this improves one's life a lot. So I'm going to build a note box here. Now, it used to be if I built it too small, it wouldn't let me put the letters in. If I built it too big, I couldn't readjust the letters. So now there's a word wrap included that will react to the size of the box that I give it. Excellent work. Now, for those of you that haven't done this before, it doesn't have to have the same look about it. We can go in and format the dialogue without the box and make it a different color in terms of the font, and be able to annotate my drawings in a very professional way and improve the productivity. Okay, so let's see if I missed anything. Labels, the analysis options. Okay, the 30 characters was a biggie. That was one that's highly requested. Well, that brings up another point. This list, most of this list came as requests or suggestions from current users of EasyPower. So I encourage you to provide feedback in through tech support via email. And so we've done a 30 character list. Templates accommodate the longer ID. Default label templates are new and improved. Set options based in for analysis in database edit. Defaults for short circuit options, very nice. Auto-calculate impedances and auto-calculate busways. Set the auto-calculate on existing items. Chuck is asking about enhancing Smart PDC. So these are mostly productivity issues and appearance or cosmetic issues. And if you have suggestions on improving features set, by all means, get them in the hopper, because that's what we work on. And then we also include Revit 2022. Okay. Non-existing word boxes or existing that's a good question. Jack's asking, what about let me see if I can find one. So do we have a box here? No, I think part of the problem, I'd have to check that one, Jack, and get back to you. I don't think I have a file that I can jump to automatically to check on a pre-existing Word box, but I think that's a good thing to check. Yeah, and so there's no other functionality changes in this juncture. Okay. Again, I thank everyone for attending today. By all means, check back through the website, and we'll try to. Anybody that wants a copy of the schedule template that includes ARC Flash data, by all means, you can request that. Okay, that's all I've got today. Welcome to everybody. Hope you have a safe rest of the week. We'll talk to you down the road. Have a good day.